Some leaders explain the rules. Jessica Edgerton helps people actually understand them. She's the Chief Legal Officer and Executive Vice President of Industry and Learning at leading real estate companies of the world, where she oversees everything from compliance and contracts to company-wide education and leadership programs.
Really from there, it fans out into a network of the top trainers and luminaries in the industry that I've formed relationships with over the years and that are incredibly generous with their time and energy to help make this program a success.
When the antitrust settlements shook the industry in 2024, Jessica was one of the clearest, most trusted voices helping brokers and agents figure out what it all really meant and how to stay protected. She leads the award-winning Leading RE Institute, along with programs like Maestro Leadership and Career Gold, designed to help real estate professionals grow, adapt, and stay sharp in a changing market.
And I always want people to feel that they can come back no matter how many times and use me as a resource.
Jessica is a 7-time RIS Media Newsmaker, named to the Swanepoel Power 200 watch list, and serves on the board of directors for Modern Ventures. Before leading RE, she served as an associate counsel at the National Association of Realtors, giving her a deep understanding of both the legal and day-to-day realities of this business. Today, she joins Darryl Davis for a candid conversation about risk, leadership, and what every broker needs to know to stay ahead. Let's dive into the conversation.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to, or good afternoon, or wherever you might be in the world. Welcome. And we've got a very special person with us today, Jessica Edgerton. Jessica, how you doing?
I'm good, Darryl. How you doing?
I'm doing great. So I want to give everybody a little bio, if I can, up front, so people know how incredibly awesome you are. And first of all, Jessica started, from my research, an associate counsel for NAR. And then in 2018, was executive vice president operations for leading RE. And currently you're the chief legal officer and executive vice president. Am I got that so far correct?
Yes.
And
And my real estate actually goes even back before NAR. I was general counsel for an appraisal management company back in 2008, 2009, which was a ride, let me tell you.
Really? Okay. Well, I'm interested in how you a little bit on how you got where you are. And for those of you that don't know, leading real estate companies of the world are independent brokerages that there's if I'm not mistaken, about 550 of them in 70 plus countries. And it kind of goes, Jessica, you're from the top of leadership. Where do I plug you in the hierarchy of leading RE?
I report to Paul Boomsma, who is the CEO. So yeah, I'm like tier 2.
You're second in
I'm a
command.
duchess. No, I'm not. I am on, so I've got sort of, I'm on a flat plane with a bunch of other really incredibly awesome people, including our COO, Kate Reisinger, Chris Dietz, who's our president of global operations. There's a whole bunch of just amazing people that I co-parent with.
On that level.
Yeah.
Well, to me, you're the second best command hierarchy. That's all I'll say. And all right, so gang, what we're gonna do is we're gonna jump into this, and I'm very excited. Before I get into this, I do want to say something about you, Jessica, and why I'm so excited for you to be on this is because, like Julie said it, I mean, you really are one of our most favorite people in the industry because of who you are as a human being. Because of your commitment to the industry. I do not know where you get all your energy to have your family, children of 3, and all the stuff that you do, and speaking and making a difference. Just incredible how hard you work for our industry. So thanks for being here. And the rest of you that are attending, what I'm going to invite you to do is, as we're doing this interview, we're going to leave time for questions. So what I want you to do is start to write them in the Q&A. That's number one. Number two, if if you're, even though this is designed for brokers and leaders of the industry, if you're an agent listening to the call, participating, I want you to listen through you as a leader in your own business. My belief has always been is that, the broker, it's like, when you buy a McDonald's franchise, you've got the corporation and then you've got the individual store. And I've always looked at agents the same way. Your broker is like the franchise, but you have your individual store, your individual business. And it's important for you to be a business person for your own business. And so I want you to listen to this interview through that. So are you ready to get started, Jessica?
Always, Darryl.
All right, great. So I am curious about your background because you had said that how did you get into real estate? So let's go way, way back. So when you were becoming a lawyer, was it always real estate was where you wanted to be and end up, or did it kind of just happen?
It just happened, thankfully, because this is where I meant to be. But when I was in law school, my vision was litigation. I had watched too much court TV as a child, clearly, and just I loved the drama. I loved the presentation element. I loved, just the excitement of the courtroom. And then I started practicing litigation. I was like, oh my God, everybody's so mean to each other. Like, this is horrible. Stop fighting, everybody. And I was like, oh God, wow, I'm in the wrong section of law.
Yeah, I guess if you don't like arguing, being a litigator probably is not the great fit.
We all get along. Oh, it was just so bad. So I'm married to a litigator, by the way, now. So
okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, I like to be at that dinner between the two of you.
we make it work. So I, within the firm that I was working at, I went in corporate, and then as many folks who were in sort of that big mid-sized law do, I ended up going in-house counsel. And that was the bridge. Really sort of the most fundamental immediate jump there was a friend who was an entrepreneur who was growing. This is again, sort of 2007, 2008, owned an appraisal management firm and recognized that she needed risk management and an in-house legal counsel. So I joined there, and thus began my real estate journey. I ended up joining NAR again, sort of through a dear friend who was working for Second Century Ventures at the time. And again, 2008, 2009, sort of, I'm like, hey, I think I need to shift. She said, oh, somebody's retiring on the NAR legal floor. Come have a conversation. So I went and had a conversation. And yeah, the rest is kind of history. When Pam O'Connor was retiring in 2017, they were looking for a person, and I got when you get a call for Pam O'Connor, I don't know. I mean, Pam will never retire, really. She's doing a lot of amazing consulting work out there, but Pam O'Connor called, and I was like, oh my God, it's Pam O'Connor. And I went over to Leading RE, and that was 8 years ago. Yeah. Julie, yes, Pam, icon. Totally.
Pam's an icon. I mean, she's been one of the most influential, I think, people in our industry and shaping it. Yeah. So, all right. It's funny, while you were sharing, I just thought to myself, so you stumbled into real estate, and I think everybody that gets into real estate for the most part stumbles. Like, I don't think anybody's
inherits it generationally.
Or it's generational.
So many SOBs, sons of brokers, daughters of brokers in our network. So yeah. Right.
That's so funny. Okay. Now, let me ask you about your team. So right now, because you wear a couple of hats. You're the chief legal officer, but you're also have done an incredible job with the Learning Institute. Let me see, because you just got the award from where is it? From Training Magazine Top 10 Hall of Fame for Outstanding Corporate Learning Initiatives. So you've taken over that as well, and you've done a fabulous job with that. So
thank you.
Now, how, like, you brought it to the next level from the previous person who was running. So who's on the team that you're managing? Who reports to you? How big it is? How's that look?
So for learning and development, I've got a person who oversees our institute, which is our online training interface. It's a large platform repository. And then I've got a program specialist Beyond that, though, we have our deans of learning. So this is a group of dedicated trainers in the industry. They're independent contractors with the company, but really well-known folks. So that's, Mike Staver and
Matthew.
Matthew Ferrara and Dan Elzer and Debbie Mayer. So we've got them that are sort of consultants. And then beyond that, we have a stable of trainers and luminaries in the industry, one of which is you, that we regularly go to for insights, for training. Darryl, you have incredible materials in our institute. So really from there, it fans out into a network of the top trainers and luminaries in the industry that I've formed relationships with over the years and that are incredibly generous with their time and energy to help make this program a success.
Now, in leading this team of folks, what would you say your style is if you were to define it as to how you try to lead people? How would you define it?
Fortunately, I have a lot of really competent and people with a lot of expertise under me. So for the most part, I train by being available. I work with them by being available. I have some folks who are younger on the team as well. I think the first thing that you have to do when you're leading is hire well. If you're not hiring well, you're in trouble, right? So I have over the years learned how to hire people that are going to fit into the culture of the company, first of all, which is deeply important, but also fit into and be responsive to my style of leadership, which is people who understand the sort of the playground that they have available to them. I create the boundaries for that. And then I give them a lot of license within those walls. But if a leader is not defining the safety zone within which people can be creative and explore and make mistakes, that's where you can start getting in trouble. So my style of leadership is set clear boundaries and then let people find their best and highest use within those boundaries, take creative license, and have fun. I believe deeply in people if they come into our company with for a particular job and they're not having fun, they're not having the kind of experience that they want, but they have the curiosity, they have the drive. Let's talk about where you can move within the company. The last thing you want to do is try to pin somebody down within a job description, right? You can always fill in the gaps. Listen to your people, let them explore. The other thing that I think is deeply important is, and this goes for everybody, if you walk into my office with a question or needing clarification on something, and I give you the answer, I will ask, do you understand? And they say, yes. Are you sure you understand? Yes. They walk out of the office. What I tell people at the front end is, if you walk back out of my office after I have asked you over and over again, do you understand? Do you have any questions of clarification? You realize you don't, you turn right back around and say, I don't get it. Like, I'm sorry.
Okay.
And then they still don't get it. And they walk back out. They come back over and over and over again, as many times as you want. Then you go back out and you think you understand it and you make a big mistake. Turn back around, come back in, tell me the mistake. We will work through it. But I never want people to feel fear when they are working with me. And I always want people to feel that they can come back no matter how many times and use me as a resource. That's ultimately my job, is a boundary setter and a resource for the people that I lead.
Well, that sounds powerful because that gives people the freedom to find their voice within their position and their responsibilities, as opposed to you pushing it or boxing them in or killing off possibility and creativity. So that's brilliant. I've got actually a personal question kind of, and that is for me, when you interview people, How much weight do you give to the resume, if any? I'm curious.
Uh, light. Um, I believe that if a person has intelligence, has drive, has passion, has curiosity, I don't care what you have done in the past. I
Mm,
really don't. It's about hiring people with the right set of fundamental qualities. So I've hired people. The biggest successes that I've had in the learning and development hiring position for Institute, which is a very technical platform, right? There's a
mhm.
lot of, you don't have to be a coder, but I mean, there's a lot of technical understanding that you need. I hire people who are teachers, who have passion for teachers, who may have no other experience other than using an app. So long as I establish on the front end that they are curious and intelligent enough to sort of take hold of that, the technical elements, it's been enormously successful because I know they have the drive to do what underlies the purpose of that platform, which is to develop people. If they've
Mm.
got that, they can figure out the app. They can figure out the technical elements of it.
I think that's really important. I'm just going to say one last thing on that, and we'll go to the next question. Is that for years I used to hire, we'd have a position that we needed filled, and then we would find that person to fill it. And I think every, maybe an exception one, every one of those hires are no longer working for my company. I want to fire them. And then I switched it and I said, you know what? I'm not hiring people anymore. We'll just muddle through and because I'll work with and then when I find somebody that is of good character, which is what you're saying, that they're intelligent, that they could fit in our culture, that they care about serving and helping, then I'll hire the person and then create the position. That's what we've done. And that's
Darryl,
very beautiful. Yeah.
have you read the book yet, Unreasonable Hospitality by Will Guidara?
No.
Okay, so, super recommended to everybody on this call. Go get the book, Unreasonable Hospitality, Will Guidara. He's a famous New York restaurateur, and it's what you
Oh,
you
wait a
just
second.
said.
I have. My wife told me about this guy.
Okay,
Yes.
you got to read it. And
She loves this book. She read the book. Go ahead.
well, you'll especially love it because what you just said resonates so strongly with his philosophy on hiring, which is one of my favorite lines from the book is he said, when I am hiring for a restaurant, everybody can learn how to carry a tray, but I look for people who will chase a person down 2 blocks at rush hour in a busy New York streets with a dropped scarf and find that person on the streets of New York to return their scarf. So look for the people who, whether or not that's one of the core values of your company, look for the person who will go beyond for whatever you
Mm,
believe is the core of the purpose of what you do.
yeah. Wow. That's great. That's so funny. Well, now I'm going to read the book, although I'm going to get in trouble with my wife because she's going to be like, I told you to read the freaking book and read the book, but Jessica says to read. Now you're reading. So I already anticipate that conversation. All right. So let's talk about the legal landscape because I know that you have been there in our industry. There have been a few people, myself, you, that we are always trying to get ahead of the next legal thing and help our members navigate that. So my question is, what do you see as far as lawsuits, the settlement, shifting compensation? What do you see as the biggest compliance blind spot that brokers and leaders might have that they should be addressing pretty immediately?
There are a few. I've got a whole list of what I call the while we were out sort of list of things we need to be keeping our eye on because
Okay.
of all of the focus on antitrust for the last 5 years. I'm not gonna necessarily go through that. But I think if there is one area that we all need to be doubling down on, it's a lesson from the lawsuits and also a lesson from some of the lawsuits that are fomenting now. I mean, good God, poor Zillow. The lesson is everything that we learned about consumer facing transparency. Please do not let that go. We need to be ensuring that our forms, our agents, the training that we're doing are focused on consumer transparency. So regardless of where you sit on the spectrum of, off MLS versus on MLS versus, all of that stuff. No matter what you are doing, if you have trained your agents, and agents, if you have trained to have radically transparent conversations about the pros and cons of every step of their journey, not just throw forms in front of them, not just throw contracts in front of them, not move towards how am I going to make money off of this transaction, right? But have intentional, careful conversations with your consumers and make sure that your processes and policies and documents and training materials align with those conversations around transparency, you are in a better risk management position than unfortunately a lot of other people out there in the industry right now. So consumer-facing transparency. I'm also interested in a lot of the RESPA stuff popping up right now, but guess what? A lot of the risk management around RESPA comes down to that transparency, those consumer-facing conversations, offering the full spectrum of choice, making sure that consumers are leading with their choice, regardless of who's affiliated with your business, regardless of anything else. Consumer-facing transparency. The other one is with AI now really being integrated. I implore everyone to please make sure that you have an AI policy in place. There are a lot of laws starting to come online right now as well. Keep an eye on your state laws around ensuring, for example, California, make sure that any AI enhanced or generated video or images are labeled AI enhanced or generated. There's so much. So work with your counsel. For leading RE folks on the call, leading RE brokerages, I just published a template. Don't take it as legal advice, yada, 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 but I just put out a risky minute and a bunch of advice on how to implement an AI policy in your brokerage. So ping me, I got you covered. Those are a couple of the biggies, Darryl.
And you know what? I didn't mention this in the opening, but the risky minute, that's what it's called, the risky minute?
It was originally risky business, and we decided that 5 minutes was too long. So now we call it the risky minute, but it's actually still 5 minutes. So,
This is something that you launched, yes?
Yeah.
And where is it? Is it part of the leading RE environment or outside of it?
It's just for leading RE people. I'm sorry, but I'll always be happy to have a conversation with anybody and tell them all the things that they need to be scared of.
Okay, yay.
But for leading RE folks, just get in touch with me. It's in our dashboard.
All right. I have to ask you a question that is not on my original list of questions. Correct me if I'm wrong. And I've been telling our power agents that the lawsuit that we settled was not about the form and the selling broker's fee on the form. That was what was negotiated. That was a result of the lawsuit. The violation that we lost, I disagree with it, but where we lost was when the homeowner committed at the listing appointment to a specific selling broker's commission to a buyer's agent. That was the antitrust violation. It was because they weren't given the ability to negotiate with the buyer's agent, et cetera.
Right.
So, okay. So now there's still agents, though, who are calling, the buyer's agents are calling the listing agent, asking the listing agent, is the homeowner paying and how much are they paying? And if they're not, I'm not going to show it. So
okay. So the first part's fine, right?
Okay.
The first part's okay, right? But it shouldn't matter. The second part is not okay, right? At all. So let me break it down. The reason that you shouldn't even have to make that call is because now you've signed a buyer's agreement. Although we're not going to go down this rabbit hole, Darryl, but now we've got some states, right, that are saying, actually, that's problematic too. So you don't have to do that before a showing appointment. Not going down that. Check your state law, everybody. But in general, I believe buyer agreements at the front, when you're first talking to your buyer, sit down, you agree what you are getting paid because that is what you are worth, right? So you know how much you're going to get paid. The buyer has agreed, we will fill in the blanks. A buyer might say though, hey, I'm going to sign this agreement. but I don't want to see any houses. Don't get my dreams up about like a house where they're not going to, the listing
seller's not
person-
gonna pay.
The seller's not going to pay. Now, some agents might say, don't worry, I'll make the calls and find out and I won't show it to you. That's sort of the kind and gentle assumption under what you just said. Some agents really bad are calling and being like, or saying, I'm not going to show it. Like I will hide this from my, but even those agents that are saying, I'm going to call and find out and we won't look at it if they're not paying. I think that is a bad decision too. The reason being, first of all, there's still the implication of that sort of steering going on. Second of all, agents, if your buyer says that to you, say, don't worry. We are going to have this. I am an expert negotiator. I know how to work through this negotiation, through this transaction. We will write this into the offer and it'll work or it won't, but don't shut out your options in a loosening environment, but still we got some real tight situations in the market still. Let me use my expertise to negotiate the best deal for you. Ultimately, it's your choice whether you decide to go with it or not. So that's my recommendation on that.
Great. We're on the same exact page with that. Okay, super. Let me see. I've got here. All right. Most brokers, they, when they manage reactively, right? So is there any suggestions you have to be more proactive? I mean, you mentioned it, but is there anything else that brokers can do to be proactive? You said the AI policy, have that in place. Is there any other suggestions?
Do an audit on all of your policies, right? Do an audit on all of your training. Have systems in place. Be listening to what's next. I really do think that sort of systematizing your risk management, doing annual reviews of your policies, staying up to speed on, what consumers in particular are worried about, is the best way to avoid sort of the reactive quagmire that we had found ourselves in the last 7 years.
Got you. All right, good. Now, as somebody that's so well versed in education and training, given the institute at Leading RE, for brokers that aren't members of Leading RE, they're small brokerages. What can it? Because obviously, we both believe that training is essential, and not just once. Training is like taking a shower. You don't take a shower once; you do it on a regular basis, hopefully. And same is true with education. So what can a broker do, a smaller brokerage, to help keep their agents trained and educated?
I think you have to create a little bit of a cult of personality around training as a leader. So you have to build it into your culture. How do you do that? Especially for small to mid-size, the brokers and the leaders need to be in that room. That doesn't necessarily mean that you need to be the trainers, but you have to be there, be active, show yourself as a learner. Where training culture falls through is when there's sort of dictates from above. We want you to do this training. The HR department is putting out, training materials, and the CEO, the leader, the top executives are not in the room. They don't get excited. They don't participate. So be demonstrative as a leader in your own personal learning journey and be present for them. That to me is number one. Also make sure that what you are offering is hitting every single one of your audiences. I think so many brokerages make the mistake of offering training to their agents, but then they don't offer training to their sales managers or to their staff or to their relocation professionals or to their upper level management. Leading RE's training program hits on every single layer of a brokerage's staff and employees and independent contractors, and then it ensures that the messaging, the cohesion, the philosophy behind all of those layers meshes. so that when a sales manager talks to an agent, the training that they have received is in line with what the agent has received. So cohesive training models that hit every single one of your audiences, and a very present leader participating in training. Those are the keys.
I think that the most important thing that you said, hearing that, is that it's got to be a cultural thing, not like just an item on your to-do list, right? Like I could see some brokers saying, you know what, let's bring in a loan officer just so that it's something to do. We'll have pizza night and, we'll learn stuff. But it's filling in just a thing to do. It's not part of the company culture, where the more successful brokers, they'll look at the training as an opportunity to inspire the agents with marching orders, given what's happening in the market right now. And and of course, some have training programs just on the basics of real estate. But all right, very good. All right, so how do you manage your personal life and your business life? Because you've got a full life, personal and business. How do you manage that?
Not always perfectly, Darryl.
Okay.
I with a lot of humor.
Okay.
The number one tool that I have in my toolbox is a sense of humor when it comes to the messiness of life, the messiness of all of us as humans, navigating our families and our jobs, and a really, really wacky industry landscape right now. So I navigate it with humor. I navigate it with a lot of forgiveness for myself and for others. And being able to be demonstrative with my kids as well about, and my staff and my colleagues, about being okay with being imperfect. We are so rigid, I think, so many of us who have had, long, successful careers, about needing to be perfect. And we can't do that. It breaks us. We are not perfect. We are deeply, deeply human. And I've tried to teach my kids about that. No, you can't be all things to all people. I cannot be at every single game. I cannot be at every single conference. What is today? This is the first time I've missed NAR in, I think, 15 years. NAR Next is going on right now.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't. You know what I'm doing? I'm putting up the Christmas tree with my family this weekend. That wasn't actually why I missed NAR. It's just, it was too much other stuff going on from a business perspective. But don't set the expectation for yourself that you have to be everything all the time. You can't be. So,
could you say more about that, about being kind to yourself? Or I think that's how you said it, being kind, or forgive yourself. Yeah.
Yeah.
Talk about that.
You asked about leadership. It's another way that I lead. I think one of the most damaging things that we can do to ourselves is hang on to past mistakes. Mistakes are the best learning opportunities that we have. They are the playing fields for becoming experienced, kind, full human beings. And if you hate mistakes, if you punish yourself for mistakes, you, first of all, will never learn. And second of all, you'll live a really painful life, because we make mistakes every day, all the time, all of us. So one of the things that I've learned to do is forgive myself, and also learn not to have to forgive. There's sort of this idea behind forgiveness of, well, you have done something bad, and so now I am personally going to let that go so that we can move on. Embrace your mistakes. I've taught my children that. I've taught my, the people who work for me that, and it makes things a lot more fun, and it creates bigger opportunities for success and for creativity. And my God, right now, given the market that we're in, we need creative, empowered people. And in the world that we're raising our children in, we need creative, empowered people. So have fun, be kind.
You didn't say it this way, but here's how I heard it, which is really profound, is that when you forgive somebody, there's actually a judgment in that.
Yeah.
Like you judge them that they did something wrong, and then you forgive them. So it's kind of like not great to forgive
Right.
people.
Right.
Yeah, so
I
that's really profound.
forgive you.
Yeah.
Be there with them in their mistake is more how I try to approach it. Like, you made a mistake. I'm here with you. Let's workshop this. Let's workshop this mistake, rather than I will bestow first upon you my sense that you have erred, and I will be the bigger person here and grant you forgiveness, right? Let's get down and dirty with our own mistakes and with other people's mistakes, because we all make them.
And I will say, I mean, that's probably one of the things I love about you too, is that, going back to what we said earlier, I think it was before we actually started that when we had the conversation about the CCP and us being on different sides of that, what my sense though was, there wasn't judgment on your side of it. So you created a safe space for us to have the conversation because there wasn't judging in there. So that's powerful too in leadership. The opposite of that would be looking at Democrats and Republicans on how they are so judgmental of each other that there's no space for anything productive to occur.
Yeah.
Because it shuts down, right? So.
And Darryl, to that point, so Darryl and I had a wonderful dinner together several weeks ago at an industry event, and we're on different, we have different opinions around CCP. And it was such a lovely, fun dinner with one of my favorite just industry leaders, Darryl Davis, sitting there, and we're going at it, and we're having drinks and lovely food. Those are the conversations I love, right? That's how we learn. That's how we grow. I don't know if either of us changed our opinions any, but
no, I don't think so.
I don't think so. But it was fun and exciting, and so there's that. And on the political side of things, oh my God, Darryl, we're not going to get political here, but I have friends. This is another place where I have friends across the political spectrum. And some of my favorite conversations are having really open-hearted communications, realizing, sure, there's some sociopaths out there, right? There's some people who really, really don't care about other humans, but everybody on the entire political spectrum is deeply, deeply wanting to do the right thing for the people that they love and the communities they serve. And you can't see that until you actually let things go and start listening. So that is, our country needs so much of that kind of conversation and healing right now. That we're
Absolutely.
It's breaking my heart how broken and separated we are.
Ditto on that. Okay. Who are some of the mentors or role models that have helped you in this industry, especially up until, many years, it was so dominated by men. So yeah, who are some of those mentors?
I mean, plenty of men in there too, right? Like I am surrounded by wonderful people. I get to work with our deans. I get to work with people like you. Many of whom are men. Paul Boomsma, who's our CEO, is just an amazing human who,
Absolutely.
I was pregnant when I came on board, and he was like, "We're going to make this work. Like, what do you need?" He knew before he hired me that I was pregnant. But I also am surrounded by a bunch of incredible professional friends and colleagues who have that same sort of idea about curiosity and kindness that I do. I mentioned Kate Reisinger, our COO. She is one of my favorite humans in the world. We work together. I use her insights and expertise every single day. Constance Friedman, who is the CEO of Modern Ventures, who is just one of the most powerful and incredible VCs that works in the fintech and real estate space. I mean, Pam O'Connor, we mentioned Pam, like having her come on board at the beginning. Pam is such an icon. There are just so many incredible humans, incredible women. So the most important thing for me is just surround yourself. Yeah, it's a little bit of a trope here, but I truly believe that people should strive to be the dumbest person in the room at all time. And I often find myself as the dumbest person in the room. And it's wonderful, right? Being able to have conversations with people who shed light on corners of the world that you didn't even know existed.
Mm. Yeah, and I would think so. If you go into a situation where you're the dumbest person in the world, and seeing yourself that way, that opens you up to listening, wanting to learn, and probably also takes pressure off the individual thinking that they've got to impress or they've got to know everything. And people are uncomfortable in those situations.
I think no matter what room you're in, feeling pressure to impress is always a mistake, right? I have learned so much from people who are my quote unquote subordinates, right? From Uber drivers, from people who have just started out their careers. I actually believe that everybody should have a mentor who is older than them, but also have a mentor who is younger than them, especially with everything that's happening in the technological world, in the way that generations are changing so quickly these days. So find mentors, look for friends in different socioeconomic circles, guys. Like we tend to create socioeconomic bubbles of people of sort of like-minded and similarly situated people. I think that's so harmful, right? Find friends that are outside of your comfort zone. Those are your best mentors.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you a question that is not, I didn't send it to you, so sorry. So I'm hitting you on the spot with this one.
Go for it.
All right. So, and I've got to set it up and explain it. So I read this book from called Moments of Truth by Jan Carlson. And what it helped, the bottom line of that book is it defines there's these moments that a company is created in the eyes of the consumer. He used to be the CEO of SAS Airlines. So every time a customer would pick up their bags at baggage or call reservations or enter the plane, like these were moments of truth that the employees got to define who the company is in the eyes of the customer. Disney has the same thing. They call them magical moments. So in our company, we call them smile moments. And so we define some areas where agents are lacking in these moments of truth. For example, not filling out completely the MLS form with all of the data, not verifying the data to make sure it's accurate, et cetera, et cetera. Where are some moments of truth that brokers are maybe missing out on, either from a customer experience or a legal area where they're dropping the ball? What would you say some of those brokerage moments of truth are?
So brokerage or agents, because they're different. They're
I
different
agree.
conversations there.
Let's do brokers, and then we can jump to agents as well.
Okay. So when it comes to, I know I sort of said it before, but when it comes to brokerage, I think that the biggest and most important moment of truth happens before somebody joins the brokerage. The process now of ensuring that the right agents are being brought on board the right teams are being incorporated, the right M&A is happening right now. There's so much M&A going on right now. And my concern is that
Explain that to people that don't know that term.
so mergers and acquisitions is going to be a massive narrative over the next, it already has been, obviously. I mean, look at the, Compass Anywhere news and big stuff. It's happening at all levels right now, which is great. I think that's fine. I think that there's a lot of benefit there. But if mergers and acquisitions are not happening with an eye to the cultural fit, if agents are not moving to grow, if not agents are being brought on board that are not a fit in terms of professionalism, there's going to be, those are the brokers that are going to lose. That's where there will be a breakdown. It's that hire the right people, bring the right people on, be selective, and all of this goes towards risk management. The biggest danger right now are folks who are, doing one or two transactions a year, not because they're not actively There's some people who are doing one or two because they're actively trying to do it, and they, it's a hard market out there. But for those folks who are going totally part-time, not worried about professionalism, sleeping through their continuing education, that's where the risk management problems are going to occur too. So hire people, bring on teams, and merge with companies that are, number one, deeply committed to consumerism, to consumers. I mean, consumerism is great too. Like, it is
that's a side thing.
Making money is good too. But people who are deeply devoted to their consumers and who have professionalism as one of their number one goals. So the breakdown, those moments of truth happen before somebody comes on board.
Love it. Now, you've said, I just thought of another great question, given your experience, because you've said culture several times.
Oh, yeah.
And I am so on board with you on that. I think our power agents, our coaching members, they know our culture. And the reason why they know our culture is because we know it and we're clear about it. You've seen, because of who you are with leading RE, you know of 500 plus companies. You've seen 500 some odd cultures, and some of them not having cultures. We won't mention their names.
Yeah.
So from an outsider looking in, what are some of those bullet points of a successful culture? Some of the companies that you've seen, you say, boy, they got their act together because their culture is this, and this. What are some of those working cultures that you've noticed?
I mean, sort of taking a step back, why is culture so important? One of my favorite quotes from Peter Drucker is, "Culture eats strategy for breakfast," right? Like that is culture. If you don't have culture, everything else falls apart. But also recognize that strategy can be part of your culture. And I think that's one of the successful sort of prongs. Ensure that you have the processes in place. So successful culture means having the processes in place to allow that culture to proliferate across all levels. Have clarity across all levels of your brokerage. Make sure that the communication pathways and the feedback pathways are in place to make so that your agents and their consumers and your staff are able to communicate, and that leadership hears that feedback. So feedback process in place. A culture of training and development and professionalism is crucial. If you have people fun is great. In fact, fun is, for leading RE, one of our hidden core values. It's clear, but we add an F at the beginning, so it's for clear. Have fun, that's great, absolutely. But make sure that professionalism is first and foremost, and make sure that everybody is really in love with humans, right? With recognizing that at the core of everything we do is a transaction that is stressful and life-changing and deeply, deeply expensive, and that we have a lot of people's entire livelihoods in the palms of our hands. So people who really take our business seriously, who believe in what we do, and who leave their ego at the door when they're communicating with their stakeholders.
Awesome. Awesome answer. All right, let's jump to the agents. As far as those moments of truth, where is that agent? Where can they improve these moments? Where are they maybe lacking, would you see overall?
I think the first point of contact with your consumer, it's that, first impression is the most important. We have so many cool new shiny toys and whistles at our disposal now with AI, and that's great, use them, but make sure that all of the tools that you're implementing and using are in advancement of the human connection that you are making with your consumers. So those moments of truth need to be in that human to human contact. And that first moment when you sit down with a person, be authentic. Scripts are great, all of that is fine, but if you're not tapped into your who you are as a person, you're going to lose your client. So yeah, human connection.
Love it. Love it. My pet peeve is lack of communication for agents. They don't, I think when we are bad at keeping the client informed, especially during a contract, right? Or with a listing, when that homeowner's sitting there waiting for the house to sell. And if they don't hear from their agent, they start getting angst. They start making up their own reality about why it's not selling. And they're always going to blame the listing agent. And that's a breakdown in the communication, the customer service. So, yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. So let's do this. I think we got a couple of questions that I want to jump to. And then, Julie, so you have those questions. Power agents and guests and everybody that's on the call. We're going to just take a few minutes here and jump to some questions. So what I'd like you to do is if you have a question for me or for Jessica, if you'll write it in the Zoom Q&A, I think we're streaming this as well, but only on the Zoom here can we handle these questions. And then I have some more questions myself. So Julie, why don't you take over?
Perfect. Well, we only have a couple because the other were really more comments.
Okay.
And they're both legal questions, I believe. So Annie said, can a co-op board refuse Section 8 tenants?
Oh, gosh. No, I don't think so. But I'm not getting into co-op board law right now. So I can look that up and find out. But
We're not putting her legal license on the line, guys.
You know what? Here's what I'll say. I'll help Jessica on this. Is that sometimes, first of all, I want to clarify for everybody, there is a distinction between laws and rules and agreements and like all that. So, for example, the NAR settlement that we agreed to.
Here, Tiffany has the answer. See?
Oh, she does?
Only source of income is a protected class in that area. We love you,
there we go.
Tiffany, by the way.
Thank you, Tiffany. I
Thanks,
hereby
Tiffany.
bestow a legal license on you.
Yeah. So
Let it be said.
that Tiffany got it. Tiffany got it. But just to finish my thought on that, everybody has to understand that sometimes, like this settlement that we did with NAR, that's not law, and sometimes people think that that's law. That was a private lawsuit. It wasn't a government suing us, and and we settled and we made an agreement. So you always have to know your state license law because that's really the most important thing to you. Because in some states, what we agreed to in the settlement, there's conflicts. And so what wins out is the state license law. So you got to know your state license law. Go ahead, Julie.
Anitra, Marianne, if you could put your question in the Q&A, that'd be great. Jeffrey says, Jessica, I was a partner in a multi-unit complex. My sellers sold the complex without my consent. I have tried to hire an attorney to help me with this. I've had no luck, which makes no sense. This should be easy. Do you or any of your partners have a way to get in touch with you? Just looking for some help.
Yeah, I'm happy to make a recommendation maybe for somebody who can help. Just clarifying here, I have one client and that's leading RE. And to Darryl's point on sort of the legal matrix, I am a generalist. I am an antitrust expert. I am an expert on sort of contractual and contracts law. I hire lawyers to do my real estate transactions for me. So and I'm only licensed in Illinois. So there are a bunch of caveats. Remember what I said about needing to be the dumbest person in the room? There you go. I'm limited, but I do have a wide network and can absolutely make a referral and do some initial brainstorming with anybody who has questions like that.
Julie, let's put or Sarah, let's put Jessica's contact information or that we
Yeah.
want to give out in the chat for right now. Yes, all right. Go ahead, Jules.
But again, take into consideration what she just said. Don't just bombard her with legal questions because
I won't be able to help you. Yeah.
Right?
I mean, other than make recommendations.
Yeah. She'll make recommendations again. She's not good. She's like she just said, Jessica's one client is leading RE. So yeah, she's not like somebody that you would hire to say, hey, how do I got a contract and the deal's falling apart? Can you help me? Yeah. So that's not going to fly. All right.
I can recommend a good lawyer too.
Yeah.
Perfect. Let's see. Clem says, what do you anticipate is the next legal splash that is most likely? Clear cooperation, private listings, Compass versus Zillow, something else? And what do you think the impact will be?
Okay. Yeah. I mean, there is a lot going on. I guess I kind of already mentioned it, but I do think the Zillow, Zillow's getting pounded with so many lawsuits right now. But I do think that the class action lawsuit around sort of that 40% click, I think there's two prongs to that. One is RESPA. Everybody, again,
do me a favor, Jessica. Yeah. Do me a favor. Just let's assume people don't know what Zillow lawsuit is, the RESPA, that whole thing. So let's school them a little bit.
Real Estate Settlement Procedures Act. Sure. So, okay, I'll go real quick and high level. Zillow's getting hit with a lot of lawsuits right now. One of them is a class action lawsuit. Class hasn't been certified yet, but basically it's a group of consumers saying, hey, when I get on Zillow and I see a house and I hit that contact an agent button from Zillow, this is all through the lens of the lawsuit, right? It's actually lawyers saying this, but I am expecting to be put in contact with the listing agent. Like that would make the most sense. I didn't know that I'm getting sent to an agent that is paying to be put in contact and that Zillow is getting 40% on a referral fee. Like I didn't know any of that. I would like that information because without that information, like that information sort of suggests that maybe the prices that I'm paying are going to be elevated to compensate for this 40%. So that's part of it. The other part is an allegation in that same lawsuit saying all of that is happening is a violation of RESPA, Real Estate Settlements Procedure Act, in that Zillow is not an active part of the transaction. They're not one of the, transacting brokers. And so they should not be privy to the carve out that currently exists in RESPA that allows for sort of the broker to broker referral mechanism. So that one I think is pretty wacky. I don't know if that's going to go anywhere, but again, sort of on the point of like, what is next? I think that there are a lot of lessons to be learned in that first part, which is about consumer transparency and putting processes in place that ensure that consumers understand the pathways that money are taking in every part of their transaction. So that comes down to communication with your consumers, putting processes in place that allow consumers to understand the elements of the transaction that could theoretically or really affect the payments that are being made to various players throughout the transaction. I think that's where we are going to see more legal and perhaps even regulatory scrutiny coming up.
I just want to echo what Jessica just said, Glenn, and everybody on the call, is the transparency part. And what you said, Jessica, when you were talking about the transparency, I'm thinking about there's still a lot of agents, realtors, that are not sitting down with buyers first, going over the buyer agency agreement and having them sign it. A lot are still skipping that because they haven't gotten caught. They're maybe doing it at the end when they are negotiating a house, then all of a sudden they'll have them sign the buyer agency agreement. And the epiphany that I just had in hearing you talk is that agents, I think, that do that are not respecting themselves as a professional or the industry, meaning that if we all thought more like I'm a business person, I'm not a salesperson. And as a business person, I need to know my business and I need to articulate and be transparent. Like think like this, like a business person. I need to be more transparent. I need to document more. I need to follow up more. I need to have paper trails on things, et cetera, et cetera. I think if agents elevated their own perception of themselves as a business person, that they'll start to shift a little bit in their behavior. What do you think?
I am in complete agreement, Darryl. That one of the most detrimental narratives that we told ourselves and communicated to our clients for many, many years was, hey, I'm a buyer's agent. My services are for free. Like, no, they're not. If you are shopping for a couch and you see what looks at first blush to be a lovely couch on the side of the sidewalk in front of a very bespoke, lovely house that says free couch on it, you are going to make assumptions about why that couch is free. Don't be a free couch. Treat yourself as the professionals that you are.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. That
I'm
is
sorry,
a
I
great
have to weigh in. We all love that at the company. The whole Smile Squad is like, yes, Jessica.
Yes, that was brilliant. That was well, the Smile Squad, Jessica, is because we're all about. You said something about scripts, like talk from your heart.
Yeah.
That's one of our culture things. We don't teach memorized scripts. We teach metaphors and analogies, which is what you just did. So that's a mic drop for my company. That's our culture. So awesome. Oh, that was so awesome. Okay. Next question, Julie.
Yes. Jeff, can you please share what the process is for a brokerage to become a member of Leading RE? Are there specific steps or requirements?
Absolutely. Thank you for the inquiry. We'd love to talk to you. We are so we get a lot of applications, just sort of setting expectations. We end up having to reject about 80% of the applications, give or take. The qualifications are sort of at a very top level, top 5 in your geographic region overall, top 10. Top 5 among independents, locally and regionally branded, top 10 overall within your geographical region. And then it is, again, sort of that local and regional and family brands that are part of our network. So those are kind of the high level qualifications. But boy, we love talking to everybody. Please get in touch with me at jedgerton@leadingre.com, and I'll put you in touch with our member vetting team.
And Jessica, I'm sorry to ask this, like I should know the answer, but I know for the longest time, if your office is part of a franchise, that was a disqualifier. Is that still the case, or?
Well, we have certain sort of the big traditional national brands where that are not part of our network. That said, over the years, we've had a number of our members that have grown into large regional companies and with massive footprints, including Howard Hanna family of company, Weichert, Windermere. And so if your company is part of, like the company itself is part of Leading RE, individual offices can then apply to become part of our membership.
Got it. Okay, great. Okay, Jules.
Awesome. How would you describe our current market?
I'm optimistic. Right? Asked me that a few months ago, and I would have had sort of a more reserved. I can't play poker, right? But I'm actually very optimistic about 2026. The days on market. Obviously, I mean it's all local, right? Days on market is lengthening, but I'm not nervous, right? Buyers have a lot more choice. I think we are going to continue to see elevated pricing. I think affordability is a huge problem, and it will continue to be a problem for many, many Americans for the next several years. But I do think that this is where all of us as real estate professionals step in and really show our worth. This is where we have a big job to do to help Americans find the right financing tools, find the right homes, talk about their options. Americans need consultants, well-trained, well-educated professionals right now more than ever. So I see massive opportunity. People are starting to put their homes back on the market. The feds are doing their thing, right? We're really starting to see the potential for some real loosening in the market. I think if all of you are preparing right now for the 2026 spring market in a way that is sort of equivalent to prepping for a massive sea change in our industry, I mean, be doing your watch Rocky, everybody. Watch the first Rocky right now, okay? Like, we need to all be running up and down the steps at 4 o'clock in the morning right now, preparing for the spring market, because for those who are well trained, 2026 could be a game changer. So I'm feeling good.
Awesome. Awesome.
Okay, second to metaphors and analogies. He loves a good movie reference. So you are hitting out of the park, Jeff.
She's hitting all the good points over here.
She is a winner for all of us. I love it. I don't know if you kind of touched on this, but Anitra says, what are the largest obstacles you foresee for brokerages in the next 5 years?
Not being comfortable. The largest obstacle is a leadership that is comfortable. And not recognizing the changes that are happening. One example, I'm hearing a narrative right now that is sort of along these lines. Hey, this is a people industry. Sure, there's a lot of AI right now, but it's gonna be okay. We got it covered. We're people. We're people. That's our culture. We'll be okay. You need to do a okay, but at the end of that comfort. Okay, but what can we do? What tools are available right now that will allow us to distinguish ourselves from the competition, from the big guys, from the little guys, from whoever your primary competition is? You need to stay really radically uncomfortable and curious. So I think complacency and exhaustion are the biggest dangers for brokerages right now. Technology is going to be changing things. Another big danger I hear right now is companies that say, hey, human beings will always want another human in the transaction. It's the biggest transaction of their lives. Just like you don't want a doctor or a robot performing surgery on you, surgeons will always have their job. It's okay. Like, we're going to be fine. No, you know what? A lot of people, my kids, are going to be very comfortable with having a robot do a lot of their surgeries and do a lot of their real estate transactions. Generationally, Gen Z that's now actually entering the market, they're much more, in fact, human-to-human contact kind of makes them uncomfortable. So the biggest danger is brokerages feeling complacent and not exploring how to think as a next step. That doesn't mean going out of business. That means redefining sort of the fundamentals of what we do. I think about what happened with Apple, right? 1970s, they were a computer company. It was great, no problem. Then the 1990s hit and all of this new technology started coming. It took a return of leadership and mind frame to go from we are a computer company to we are a company that is at the intersection of technology and humanity. We bridge that gap. And that's what happened. Apple fundamentally changed the vision and the definition of what they did as a company from we make computers to we bridge the gap between humans and technology to really ensure their continued viability through today. So all of those leaders need to get really curious about what fundamentally we do as humans to help people find shelter in this world. I mean, play with that, right? Stay curious. Don't lock yourselves into what we do in real estate.
And now along with that, we're just doing metaphors and analogies out all over the place. During that time with Apple that you just talked about and how they pivoted, there was another company that was a competitor of theirs that had total market share. Some of these young kids won't know this name called BlackBerry.
Yeah.
And so BlackBerry owned the telephone and texting market. And so when things shifted, which is interesting because companies that don't pivot, they feel threatened by the new thing. And so they have a choice when they feel threatened to either learn from it and grow with it, or to stay dug in because they're afraid that this is going to invalidate them. So they double down. So BlackBerry doubled down, and Bing, they're out of business. Another one too, Blockbuster.
Blockbuster.
You knew I was going with that. How look at us, the minds, you and me.
Yep.
But same thing. Blockbuster had, think about it. They had all these buildings. They had all of these hard pieces called videotapes, VCR tapes. So when the internet came, they had a choice to either pivot, which meant they would have to sacrifice all of that, or double down. Well, they doubled down, and Netflix to basically put them out of business.
And Darryl, do you know the story? Netflix tried to sell to Blockbuster for like $10 million
Yes.
back in, what was it, 2000? They walked in, they were laughed out of the room. And so I love the Blockbuster story, because people are like, okay, well, it's a failure of vision. Like, the leadership loved their bricks and mortar and they loved their fully rewound tapes. A big part of it too was so lack of vision. They were also addicted to old revenue streams. They loved those late fees. You can't get late fees. Like, and what about, nobody's going to be buying Mike and Eggs? Like, we sell Mike and Eggs. I don't know if anybody on the call.
Oh, Mike and Ike's. Yes.
I love Mike and Ike's.
They're delicious, but you can't keep your Blockbuster stores open. So be open to not being like, not holding your old revenue streams like little, safety blankets. Mike and Ike's and fully rewound videotapes and late fees weren't it, right? So be thinking beyond, like, what revenue streams do you feel like your safety blanket is right now? Think beyond that. Like,
and you know what, just to echo what more recently with agents, forget about the AI stuff. When the lawsuit settlement happened, and now we have to, the buyer's agents sit down with a buyer agency agreement, there's some agents still complaining about NAR, complaining about the settlement, complaining about this process, and they're pushing back saying, I don't want to do it. I want the old. I want to hang on to the old. Well, Netflix wanted not Netflix, Blockbuster wanted, and BlackBerry. I think because of the lawsuit, our industry got better in a lot of areas on separating the fees, having these different conversations. So yeah, you got to adapt. Otherwise, you're going to be left behind, truly. Okay, Julie.
I just have to say, if you're ever the dumbest person in the room, that must be one hell of a room, Jessica. That's all I'm saying. I want to see the other people in that room, because
That
what?
was
Julie.
good, Julie. That was good.
Zena, I don't know if Monica's is. Anyway, we'll start with Zena. Does the MLS system sell the listing information to Zillow and others? In my opinion, this is wrong, because agents work so hard to get the listing, and then MLS Zillow makes money off the agent's hard work.
Sorry, can you read the first part of that
Yeah,
again,
so
Julie?
I'll do it, Jules.
Okay.
They're asking, is the MLSs or NAR selling the listing leads to Zillow? How does Zillow get into our business, where they are a portal of all of our content? Do you
Got
know?
it. I mean, ultimately, when you put a listing into your MLS, you either syndicate it or you don't, right? And that can get syndicated to Zillow. There are different licensing infrastructures. There are different payment systems. I am not going to speak across the board for different deals with different entities.
Yeah, Zena, I think the easy answer to that is Zillow, the business. They basically contacted each MLS and have an agreement with that MLS to get the feed. And a lot of companies do that. Your CRMs do that in our industry. Showing Time, I'm sure it would be even before Zillow owned it. So all of these companies that work with your MLS, Remine, they all have these negotiations and conversations, and they financially work out some kind of agreement. So yeah. Next question, Julie.
One more, Monica, and then I know you've got a couple questions, Darryl. Monica, are consumers questioning same agent transactions within a brokerage, and the broker is getting paid twice?
Say that again, Julie.
Are consumers questioning same agent transactions within a brokerage, and the brokerage is getting paid twice.
So where they're the listing
Right.
and selling brokerage, yeah.
Yeah. So are consumers questioning that? Well, consumers should know about it already, right? Like if you're doing correct me if I'm not answering the question, but we're talking about dual listings, right? And there are two kinds of dual listings. So it's when the same agent is doing it, and then there's when it's being done within the brokerage by two separate agents, right? Dual listings make me really, really nervous already, just as a lawyer. Like some people practice it. If you've got the disclosure, if your client's comfortable with it, fine. Again, it comes down to massive disclosure. When there are two agents within the same brokerage, again, that should be disclosed, right? Is that being questioned by consumers? I would assume so, but again, consumers should know when it happens and should be able to, on the front end, make decisions about whether they're comfortable with that or not. Is dual agency ripe ground for another lawsuit? Absolutely. Yeah, like for sure. If you're not doing it properly, and my preference is always, be very cautious with same agent practicing. Be very cautious about disclosure when it's two agents in the same brokerage. There's, nothing wrong with two agents in the same brokerage necessarily doing that, but make sure proper firewalls in place and everybody understands the implications there.
Yeah.
Did that answer the question?
Yes, it did. And this is why that transparency thing is so important, because what we're noticing, I'm sure you agree with me on this, Jessica, is that our industry is having more lawsuits than since I've been alive at this time. Like it seems like there's always been some kind of lawsuit, but there seems to be a plethora of them right now. And I think what's happened is it's like that chum in the water, if you're fishing and you throw that chum in and there's blood, it attracts the sharks. And so I think we're going to see more and more lawsuits on things like this, like a dual agent. I can see an attorney saying, hey, let's sue some brokers for dual agency.
They know our industry now. They've been studying it for the last 7 years.
Exactly. And
Ketchmark's wife needs a matching yacht, right? Michael Ketchmark was the lead plaintiff attorney in the Merle and Sitzer.
Yeah, and he's not done with us yet. Let me jump to, because I don't want to, we're running out of time and I don't want to I see we have a couple more questions, but let me get some rapid fire answers from you, Jessica. What book are you reading right now, if any?
Oh, yeah. So I am reading a science fiction book. It's called Children of Time. Yeah, this is so I always try to have like a business book and a fun book going at the same time. The fun book is Children of Time, and it is about thousands of years in the future and repopulating the universe as humans. It's a super fun read. So
love it.
Not Peggy for sci-fi, but okay, great.
I love reading. It's just where I am right now.
Now I'm going to ask that question. What is your favorite type of movie? Is it sci-fi, drama, blah, blah, blah? If you were to pick one, what would it be?
So I have 3 children, all under like school age children. So honestly, most of the movies I watch right now are like Disney and, but I really, what I really like? I like a good post-apocalyptic movie.
Do you really?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I like the post-apocalyptic desolate landscape.
Awesome.
Mine is. They're gonna love you.
mine is sci-fi. I'm a Trekkie, so yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. What podcasts are you listening to lately?
Yours.
Oh, awesome. That was such a great answer. All right.
Yeah.
Other than mine.
Okay. I love Real Estate Unfiltered. I'm a big fan of Uncle Keith and James Dwiggins. I think they do a really, really good podcast. So
they sure do.
One of my faves. Yeah.
Awesome. What's a mistake what's a mistake that you see every agent make? Number one most popular mistake that's out there with agents?
Not communicating. 100%. Like the biggest mistake is not staying in contact with your clients and your prospects.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What's the best piece of advice you ever received about leadership?
I'll tell a story and I'll make it brief. But the first time I did a public speaking gig as an attorney, it was sort of it was at NAR, and it was within weeks of joining. And I gave a talk to a bunch of really, really smart people in the room. And I opened it up to Q&A, and somebody raised their hand and asked a question that I didn't know the answer to. And I yelled, "Save the questions for the end," and I ran off stage. It was one of the most humiliating moments of my career. And after I was just sort of rubbing my forehead in my office after I made this just scene. And my boss came in and was like, did you not know what happened? And I was like, I couldn't get past not knowing the answer, and I freaked out. And she said, nobody knows all the answers. So it was sort of what we've talked about it already, but she was like, it's okay to say, I don't know, right? And I faced so much. I was like, oh, right. Okay, I'll do that next time. Cool. And so being able to say, I don't know, maybe I did it once during this podcast when somebody asked a question about I don't know. Being comfortable with that, being comfortable with most uncomfortable situations, keeping your sense of humor, keeping your lightness, keeping your love and respect for yourself and your audience, that is the most important leadership advice for me.
Of all of your accomplishments, what is the one that you're most proud of?
Oh, my babies, my kids. I am so proud of who they are developing into as humans. I'm very, very grateful for just having a household of good people that I am a small part of having shaped.
Well, I think parents are the most important and biggest, and you're just being humble. So if they're turning out great, that says a lot about you and your husband. So, all right, Jules, what else we have? Any other questions?
We do. Jeff says, any thoughts on the recent collaboration between ChatGPT and Zillow, how it might affect the real estate industry, or what opportunities and risks it could create for brokerages and agents?
Yeah, it's a really interesting question, and it's such a good example of sort of the uncharted territory that we're in. There's been a lot of this interesting discussion, legitimate discussion around sort of licensing questions around, what does it mean from a licensing perspective? Whose data is that? Is it problematic legally that this data is being sort of displayed on ChatGPT? All of those questions, fascinating. And I don't have the answers, and all of that is going to be played out to really interesting effect over the next several months and years. My personal feeling is that we can kind of look to a certain extent to ChatGPT as, the Google Images question, right? There's all of those images on Google Images are, being displayed. Does Google Image have license to all of those? What is the licensing infrastructure for that? All of the information that is displayed on Google. ChatGPT and other LLMs, large language models, are similar sort of platforms through which we experience data. For now, all of that could be changing. But yeah, from an intellectual property standpoint, there is a lot of questions there. Is it a bad thing? I think the portals are going to have to be really, really thinking about their sort of the fundamental nature of their existence, right? As all of this information is filtered more and more onto large language models, and people are doing their searches more and more through that. The whole idea of SSO, right? Search engine optimization has fundamentally changed now as it becomes, there's a term for it. Darryl, do you know, it's the search engine optimization now for large language models. So
yeah, it's called, Sarah, what's that called? The SEO?
Yes.
What is it?
AEO.
AEO. Yeah. So that's going to be changing everything about portals. But ultimately, I think that for me, if I'm looking at homes, I'm still now and for a long time going to be going to places that have elegantly and beautifully designed the search experience, right? And those remain the portals. I can start my search on an LLM. They might push me to one place or another. At the same time, too, though, things are very fundamentally changing for the portals when it comes to some of the big national brokerages and display and data there. I mean, biggest and easiest example now is Compass, and what they seem to be working towards with their model, especially post announcement of Anywhere, not post merger. That all needs to sort of be worked out, but it's happening. There are a lot of people who are like, well, isn't there going to be a question there when it comes to approval of the merger? Yeah, they might have to do some divestment in certain areas, but that's happening. Let's not fool ourselves there. But the big brokerages are really actively looking at what that means, what their relationship is to MLS, what their relationship is to portals, what their relationship is to LLM. So huge, fascinating shifts around data ownership and data licensing coming up for us.
I want to say something to everybody. Like, if any of you are, listening to this conversation, which we're now coming to an end, but even listening to it afterwards, if you get overwhelmed by any of this, right, the legal aspects, LLM and AIO, SE, like all the terms, and you're getting overwhelmed, just listen to me. It's okay. You don't have to understand all of this or learn all of this, or don't get stressed out. Just grow based on where you are, right? So if some people are here, some people are here, and if you're here and you grow just a little bit, like you're starting to use AI for the beginning part of it, or that's what you should. I don't want people to be overwhelmed and then they get paralyzed because they feel like they're getting left behind. So whoever that applies to is
me. I'm feeling overwhelmed sometimes. Everybody. Absolutely. Stay curious. Keep your sense of humor.
There you go. Now that's the motto of this call. If as we come to a close, Jessica, is there anything that you want to add or say that I haven't asked you that you think it would be good advice for people?
I mean, guys, everybody on the call is obviously leaning into the incredible wisdom that Darryl provides and that that's available to all of you. Keep doing that. Keep leaning into the people in this industry who are the sources of light and the sources of humanity and goodness. And Darryl, you are so that to all of us. Thank you so much for everything you do for the industry, that you do for leading RE, for me as a friend. Can't tell you how grateful I am for you.
Well, thank you. You know how I feel about you. I love you. My company loves you. We think you're the best. And this was one of my highlights of my career to do this interview with you, really is. So, all right, guys, there you go. We're going to let Jessica go, and we're going to go and implement some of what we learned here today. Listen, keep something in mind, gang, that you are a professional. Stop looking at yourself as a salesperson. I've said this a million times, and Jessica, I think you might appreciate this. Unlike other sales industries, they don't need a license to practice, like selling cars. They don't get licensed. They don't have continuing education. They don't have E&O insurance. They don't have fiduciary responsibilities. They are not governed by the state license law. Who is? Doctors, lawyers, and real estate professionals. You're not a salesperson. You're a real estate professional, a business person. Start treating yourself like that. All right, Jessica, I love you. God bless you.
Love you too. God bless
everybody,
you too, Darryl.
Don't forget, you make a difference. Keep smiling, everybody. Bye, Jess.